That the regular agenda? Do you need a paper one?
I need this morning.
Oh, you don't see that bad, but make it all right. Put 'em on there. If need be.
Yeah.
Pickle. Yes, pickle. Oh, that's mine.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's get rock and rolling. Let's call the meeting to order at 2 o'clock. This is the Infrastructure Subcommittee 27, May 2025. We got everybody here shy of Hector. He is gonna filter in a little bit. Public comments. I don't know if I need to read that. It says pursuant to the Brown Act, subcommittee is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. You have 3 minutes if you want to have something. Do we have any public comment? Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
So I have a written proposal here. I know that you can't take any action on it, but it's
Right.
for your consideration, Mr. Vice Mayor and members of the committee.
Yep.
As a business leader and somebody who does a lot of work in Cloverdale. And for the record, my name is Eric Terreri.
Yep.
I live outside of the city limits, but I'm in the 95425.
Gotcha.
And I do a lot of work here. So what I've been talking with a lot of clients and friends and just people who live and work in this community. And, starting a business is a huge expense. There's a lot of hurdles, regulatory compliance, all these things that come into play when a business decides they want to try and open door and provide vital services to our community. And the biggest thing I get is just the cost of that startup on so many fronts. Impact fees, permit fees, all of those are a significant portion of that overall consideration. So what has worked in some communities and what I'm proposing that the city of Cloverdale start to look at and evaluate is what would that effect be if you did a 12-month moratorium on impact fees, allow some new businesses to come in and start, and also reduce the permit fees to get those businesses started. Now, I do understand that that would be a short-term hit to your bottom line, but you're never going to see that revenue unless a business decides to open. But in the absence of, if you're not charging impact fees, you would lose those impact fees for that first year, right? Whatever new businesses are started. My gut is that in the long run, you're going to more than see that come back in terms of tax revenue, sales tax revenue, business tax revenue that you're going to collect as a city over the next 5, 10, 20 years that business is actually operating here, providing jobs and providing vital services so our residents don't have to drive all the way down to Santa Rosa or up to Ukiah. I'm actually offering my services to do an analysis of what your impact fees look like. If you wanted to provide me with some historical data, I do some work, provide that as a pro bono, just because I know it would. I mean, I'm interested in this, but I wouldn't charge you to do that analysis if the city wanted to allow me to do that. But my primary focus is just to present this, have your consider it, and see if we can't start a discussion.
Awesome. Maybe we'll set it up for send you an email like you requested for me over the, when we did the.
Edges and all that.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
That one, and we'll maybe sit down and talk a little more about that. And
yeah.
see if we want to run it up to council. That's gonna be, obviously be a council decision if we want to do any type of fee adjustment, but it'd be worth having another discussion on it.
Yeah, and just for the record, I'm not, Ed Morella is not a client.
Gotcha.
And I'm not here on behalf of any client.
Oh, we've had a lot of meetings with them. We know how they're rolling.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, Eric. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron. Thank you, appreciate your time.
Yep. Did you have a comment?
Yes,
sir.
Richard St. Angelo, 218 Live Drive.
Yep.
Thanks very much for the meter upgrade. I already see the increased pressure, which is wonderful, especially from my backyard. Secondly, I'm wondering if how the timeline is going for the development for the 4 houses at the corner of Live Oak Drive and Lake Street. And also, if that's not happening, can we at least put down some baits that we've done before? We did that 4 years ago, and now it's starting to deteriorate.
Maybe, do you want to, since it's not really on the agenda, or you can
Yeah.
just give a quick
Yes.
2 second, then maybe, do you have
Derek's card.
Oh, yes, he's got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I have the,
We met with the subdivider. Gave them comments on plans, this is great. I feel that it's probably gonna happen.
okay,
That was-
so then they would actually improve Live Oak Drive.
Yeah, they're subject to improvements.
And do you know any timeline on that?
I don't have time.
That's what I'm thinking about, because we did my neighbor and I did, at our own expense, did the 5 yards of minimal coverage.
Mhm.
And it's been 2021, so it's been 4 years. And so now it's going away. And before, the biggest problem was the intersection of Live Oak Drive and Lake Street, and that was taken care of with just a massive dump of rock. And now it's starting to get eroded a little bit by the water.
Mhm.
But the other part is Live Oak Drive coming up. Going, in other words, going south from Lake Street.
Right.
That's the part where we did our ersatz repair.
Yep.
And that was 4 years ago, and that's starting to wear away. And I'm wondering if the city could,
Yeah, I think we'll probably have to have somebody go out there and assess it and do some. Maybe just some general grading, hammer it down again and see if we can get it thick until this. Development comes through.
here's the copy of the receipt that we did 4 years ago.
Okay.
Because you have that, but I just want to give it back to you again.
Okay.
And those are my only questions. So we don't really know what the timeline is. Do you have any rough guesstimate?
We don't, they're still working through their tentative map phase, and making sure that things pencil out.
Oh, because they still might back up because of financial requirements.
You know, all indications are a go. They're moving forward and they're planning future phases of that. And so it's ultimately not gonna just be the 4 parcels. They're also gonna work on the remainder parcel. And so right now they're trying to kind of pencil out and make sure that this phase 1, if you will support phase 2.
Good, that's good planning on their part, because we're restricted by the size of the right of way.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know, the timeline, it's really hard to say. I mean, they've been working on getting their first phase tentative map.
Yeah.
Um,
I noticed that the remaining parcel is up for sale. There's a sign up there.
I saw that when I was on, doing a site visit a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed that. The engineer that we talked to had no idea what that sign was about, and we haven't heard.
The sign poster told me it was for the remainder parcel.
Interesting, okay,
Other ones are going, the remaining parcel is your verbiage.
that's right, that's what they're proposing, 4 parcels and a remainder.
So then, since it's so amorphous as to their timeline, that's why I'm really asking for at least the remediation of what's there right now. Just for that recycled class 2 base, if that's possible.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go out there and look at it,
Super.
and then we'll see if we can get something on the schedule, just to harden it back up.
Okay, the last thing, at the corner of Live Oak Drive and Lake Street, on the southeast corner, there's a whole bunch of vegetation that really obstructs the vision of the cars going out there. And that's city property. I don't know how to handle that.
Southeast.
No,
South.
when you, excuse me,
Southwest.
northwest, there you go. I always do this transition one. When I'm driving down Live Oak Drive and I want to turn left, then there's a whole bunch of stuff there.
Vegetation on the corner.
And how could that be handled?
Uh,
Could I get on there with my own clipper, you just chop it?
Is that public property?
yeah, it's public property, it's on our list,
We'll look at it.
yeah, we plan on getting to that side of town fairly soon.
It'd be nice, the blackberry bush is no problem, it's just the other stuff that.
Yep.
New vegetation.
Yeah, we'll look at it and we'll make sure we get it on the list.
Oh, cool, thank you very much.
Can I get your number?
Oh, 218, I'm Richard St. Angelo,
Okay.
218.
Hey, Richard. Sorry, this is Mike. I just highly suggest not giving your private phone number over a public meeting. It's being recorded.
Okay.
That's the address, which is fine.
Yeah. I have his.
Do you want his phone number?
We got
Yeah, we got
thank
it.
you. We'll look at it.
Thanks, Richard.
Richard?
That's it.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, can I get a motion for approval of March 25th, 2025 draft minutes?
Make a motion to approve the March 25, 2025 draft minutes.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Ah, cool, man. There you go. Let's move into new business. Public Works. You're on the time. Okay, you wanna do the PDBG project?
So, First Street CDBG sidewalk project, it's on my list to get comments back to Coastland on their 90% submittal. And so that should get turned around here pretty quick.
Okay, so we have South Cloverdale Boulevard updates. We have two projects funded partially from the Ghost Sonoma grant that we got. We got two separate grants. We got one called the Cloverdale Traffic Calming project, and that's gonna run from First Street to probably a little bit past Hillsbury Avenue. That was a $700,000 grant we got. The total project of $1,087,000 is what the engineer's estimate was. In this grant project, that the wheels started turning probably 5 years ago on this when we applied for it. The general fund contribution laid out in these funding agreements prior to 2023.
Right.
Is $100,000 for general fund contribution from the city, Cloverdale. Measure M money, $100,000, that's money that we've received from Measure M that will go on with this project. And the traffic calming project has $187,000 that is still unaccounted for, that we need to find funding for. And or pay for it out of our own streets fund.
Is this the one in front of the church, or which one is this?
This is the striping, storm drains, sidewalk, on the boulevard area.
South going into Ray's.
Yes,
Right.
so, yeah, it's from.
Where's it at now? Going into Ray?
No, no,
That's
it's
south.
it's from the First Street Citrus Fair
Right.
all the way down to where like Carmen. The first Carmen.
Oh, gotcha.
starts
Okay,
there, for
gotcha.
Dollar General there, right there.
Yeah,
Okay, and then along with that project, we were also awarded another project. This is the sidewalk completion project. This would go from Shady Lane to about Elbridge.
Yeah.
On the west side, it's completing that sidewalk that goes over the bridge there in front, but continuing past the city.
gotcha.
So that was a
That's one that
estimated,
goes over Muscat Creek.
yes, that was
Gotcha.
estimated at 970. We got a Ghost Sonoma grant fund for 500,000. We promised a 70,000 general fund contribution, 220,000 Measure M contribution. So the Measure M money is money that we already received.
Right.
And then we need to find $150,000.
Are those all still good general fund estimates right there that we can do, or?
We're trying to dial these projects back. These projects were originally slated to start last year, and we had to push them 1 year because we didn't have enough funding to start.
We have the tax measure.
We have the tax measure and
Oh, gotcha.
we have about 300,000, it'll be about 400,000 by the end of this year saved up in Measure M. That'll kind of cover the general measure. We filed CEQA exemptions for them on the 20th, and then we're gonna start out with the scope, and do RFPs for these two projects. They have to start. We're doing the CEQA trigger to starting these projects, so we have to, use.
What's the go-to start date? If it has to start on a certain date?
It has to start on the 6/23, sorry, 6/25.
Gotcha.
So we did the CEQA, and then so that we're gonna start getting our RFPs on these projects.
We can't, we don't do the project.
If we don't do that's not an option. It's just not an option. So,
We'll be seeing that here in the near future.
yes.
They're good
Yeah.
projects.
They're good projects,
They
they're
are.
just gonna be real costly.
Needs to happen.
Well, grant money costs out of pocket a lot.
Mhm.
The new striping machine, thermoplastic. Hector and his guys have been doing some striping in the parking lot. We are meeting with a thermoplastic PVG vendor.
Good.
So that's really all the update. Do you have any other update for the
Just,
project?
just some real quick, yeah, so we did, we tackled the CD parking lot as a pilot project. to get
How's it
some-
look?
Good.
Yeah.
First, don't look at the first line. Just because there was a new machine, we wanted to get to practice,
Yeah.
and so it looks great. We got everything, and then we did, so the plan is when school's gonna be out next week. All the schools around here, so we're gonna go in there and target. Right now, Miguel and Craig are kind of going around creating a list of all the crosswalks. What we're gonna do, first thing, we're gonna do downtown, we're gonna do all the fire hydrants, red curves. The parking spots all the way up and down, and then we're gonna go do the Washington School. Jefferson School, all the crosswalks around it, and so we're gonna do that in the summer.
I got a question on the red paint, just for mine, the red paint for the curbs.
Mhm.
The stuff they used in Del Webb hasn't faded in 2 years, it's still bright red, the stuff that I used going up Pepperwood took 1 year and now it's pink.
What is it?
Is there a different, what's the good paint, I guess is what I want to
I'll
know.
find out. Oil based. Which probably is what we use.
Well,
I
I emailed
emailed,
because, man, it's bright red, fire engine red up in Del Webb, where
Since
go walk up
Councilmember
there,
Andreas,
huh?
since Councilmember Andreas. He's
Maybe we should set up a meeting.
Yeah, I emailed, Johannes,
He might know the right thing. Oh, Johannes.
Johannes, because I was looking for more, better paint for a striper.
Mhm.
Is the one from the local vendors, mentioning the local vendors, the paint just seems to,
Spray out.
it's too thick,
Really?
and so we want something thicker. Especially if we do crosswalks, we need to buy the paint that's, highlighted white, like a neon white,
Yeah.
so when the lights hit it, it reflects.
Reflect.
I don't know if we need to put those little crystals in the middle, but, so we're doing some research on that, so when we do start implementing this project. Here in the next couple of weeks, we have everything ready to go,
That's cool.
is that, so that's the plan for this summer, all the schools, all the crosswalks around schools in downtown.
Cool, all right, local road safety plan.
Okay, so the local road safety plan is another one of these studies that is gonna be partially funded, I hope, through the SCTA. That's about $100,000 study all in one. We're gonna be, if we choose to move forward, we're gonna be on the hook for 20,000. We didn't budget it for this year. This gets us one step closer, working with NTC on our streets needs plan that I'm going to be turning in on the 29th. And then getting this local road safety plan, it gets us closer to being able to apply and get federal grant money for streets and roads, which we're not able to do now.
So we have to have that safety
We
plan.
have
go
to have
after
this
cash
safety
for-
plan, and we have to have a few other things, but the safety plan and the streets needs. Little study they have online are two of the major things. This is the more costly one. There's only a few cities. I think there's just us and Sonoma are the only ones in Sonoma County who do not have it, so this would be about a $20,000 contribution to us.
What's that safety plan last?
We're looking at 5 years for the safety plan.
Nice. Gotcha.
So that's what my ask is to, if you guys want me to move forward with, getting that draft agreement to contribute $20,000 for that study, and then we'll bring it back.
I think we oughta, I mean. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Mark, but I think that if we need to have that safety plan to put us on the hook to get money to start doing these roads. It's something we need to run up to council and get it going.
Yeah, so I'll put the whole package together
Yeah.
and bring it to council.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Cause that's one thing when we did the DD, and I think everybody on council was kind of thinking, we gotta start showing some progress here in the very near
Yeah,
future,
that's
you
when
know?
you see a lot of these local goes in on
Yeah,
funds, right? That's a
exactly.
local fund.
Yeah.
The Measure M is pretty much considered a local fund too. And then most other cities are using, other federal funds in
Right.
their grant programs. Yeah.
We should make signs funded by.
Exactly.
We do, we have
Something.
we have big signs that say like funded by Measure M. That's part of the reporting we have to do each year. is
But
show-
for our local one too, if we can.
Yeah. Something using DD
Oh,
funds,
yeah.
cause
We haven't got
that by,
we have not received any money yet.
no, we haven't,
It should be
but,
soon.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll have those signs made, because we're having a Ghost and Gnome signs made too.
nice.
So it's part of
Yeah,
that.
that'd be good.
Cool.
Money.
Yeah, I'm game for whatever we need to run up and see if we can get it through council to at least any step we need to take to either help fund or get those road projects going, anything, I mean,
Okay.
that's where we need to be. Cool. Right, Vulcan property, number 5.
All right, so I've been in conversations with Mike Linton, and like you said, he's willing to acquiesce some acreage on the other side of the road over there for our use.
South of the bridge on the river?
Yeah, at the
Yeah.
old, yeah, over there. So the, I guess for the meeting here, what do we want to use that property for?
I think,
I know we had talked about in passing,
Right.
maybe do a batch plant there, but. there's
well, I
all
would
kinds-
love to get the county in on if we had, you know, a storage area right there where, you know, we could either keep base rock, emergency stuff and go in with them. That would be the only thing we could, if you wanted to make a batch plant there, an asphalt plant or something, we'd love that, but the only
It's too close.
person to make that happen would be, the county would have to be the brunt of that. Access through the property to get to the property we own on the other side of the river. Levy access and all that. And, you know,
Now, this is the old, it's on the north side of the First Street Bridge, right?
Yes, and on the east side of the river.
Yeah, the old Shamrock.
Yeah,
there. Okay,
exactly.
gotcha. When you said, I was in
Well,
south, I was like, that's not Levy.
There's another piece south, but that's a different.
Okay, gotcha, okay, so. Yeah.
So I think really we would have to start out with like a title report or something like that to see where the you know, that property itself, what easements would come with this property, how would we access it, you know, talk to the county, see what they envision
Can you get me in
being
touch?
there, because it is outside the city limits, so
It is.
everything we do have to be run through the county.
Is it a possible well site?
Well, it's an access to our possible well
I
site.
see,
Future, yeah.
That'd be great.
That's what we're kind
that would be great.
Good little
Well,
water.
Yeah,
depending on how
That's
much,
why it's
isn't
a
it
title
a
report with
future?
what easements we're able to, because it gets us about halfway there.
Tank farm too?
I mean, we could do, he said he'd give us 5 to 6 acres, it's 16 acres.
Right.
So like in the initial talks, we were talking, you know, we're not making any more land, so if we can lease that for $1 a year in perpetuity, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So if we have, you know, what's the title, what can we do with it? I understand it's on county, but if we're leasing it through the owner,
It's not considered to be in the city limits.
right,
So the county rules, I mean,
yeah, but I understand that, so, but we would be leasing to the owner
Yeah.
and doing whatever that is zoned for, basically, right?
yeah,
Well, it was industrial, so it's,
Right,
we can look into it, the zoning, the county zoning.
that could be good, I mean, key to that is just getting that solidified, if you have that property, then you can
I
start.
mean, the guy, Hogan is willing to, you know, quote unquote, give it to us basically,
Mhm.
right? And that way he has some, we have ownership and we're looking after his property, so he has eyes on the property. Right now, he doesn't have eyes on the property.
Right.
Right.
So he would love that the city would come in, take ownership of a portion of it by looking at the whole thing, basically, right, as we move in.
County put that really nice gate to it, the entrance there.
Yeah.
Good access to there.
I wonder if the 5 acres he's gonna give us goes right up to the edge of the river, because then the city has.
Well, I guess
Jurisdiction of the homeless people right there.
So that's the next thing is like,
the city.
if we're all on board and we wanna move forward with this, he's willing to have a meeting
Yeah,
This-
out there and
this
say,
is gonna
here,
be-
here's what we wanna, you know, here's what we're willing to give up.
Right,
And we can start moving forward with our more talks.
I think that's great.
Is it fenced in?
That's our-
What's
The,
that?
Is it fenced
the
in?
property is,
Yeah.
but homeless still.
there's gonna be some fixing on some of the fence, but for the most part, yeah, it's an easy fix.
It's gonna need some cleanup.
Right.
There's really no.
But for $1 a year.
But if you can get access to the river.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. And then we're right across the street from the water plant. We run a pipe right down across the bridge.
Yeah. There's that chase across the bridge.
But yeah, that'll
Bridge.
I think we ought to move that, I think we ought to move that
Chase there.
forward.
Well,
The council.
This,
It's been
Okay,
there, they put
let's,
it-
that'll give us.
you think I
If
can
we
work
get
together
Right.
to
Already
talk to this guy?
Okay.
And see if we can get a council agenda item going?
Yeah.
Maybe we can meet out there, whoever's interested.
Yeah,
Okay,
All right, I'll see when I can, get him to do a local meeting on site as we move forward.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because if we're interested, that's where we should really take it to the next steps.
Right,
Agreed.
Good,
sweet.
good opportunity.
Survey results for the Boulevard.
Second, I'm pulling them up right now.
Go ahead, Mike.
Being slow, 1 second. All right, so I went ahead and you were presented the survey at the last council meeting. I went ahead and threw this into our comprehensive administrative assistant known as ChatGPT to kind of prioritize these based on voting. Figured it's just something we can look at. These are obviously not your priorities, but it's, you know, a place to start. So the goal was council brought it back to the subcommittee to kind of exactly that, prioritize the different options that were in the survey, some of which I know are already underway, and I'm sure Hector can speak to. But I don't know if you want to, if you're okay with the way that it prioritized, there's high, medium, and low. Yeah, just thought I'd share it with you guys here, and then you can discuss and give direction to staff.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we've been, since, you know, we were a little proactive, just because I know the community have been asking us on some of these items already a few months back. So we started working on the redoing the planters, so the planting downtown, which is almost 100%. We're about 95%. We got 2 planters left. And that kind of targets, let's see what everybody thinks here. That kind of targets the benches, the seating area. Because now since we removed all the vegetation around those stone planters downtown, those stone planters were actually designed for folks to sit on. So now that we removed all the vegetation, now there's area, we gain so much seating area down there. So unless, you know, something else, that eliminates the benches, but we can always look into that too. But now, if you know, like, if you guys want to take a walk later or something, you can see how there's so much seating down.
What wood benches are they talking about? We got rid of most of those.
Yeah, these are the ones that are kind of near the crosswalks, like in front of the Chamber of Commerce. If you're crossing right there, they're just little
Yeah,
kind of rounded.
the one like by Edward Jones, and they want to upgrade those to the ones we have in the
And the ones
plaza.
right over here.
Well,
They're attached to the cement. They're mostly like, I think could just be stained or something, but
Oh, I can take care of it.
yeah.
Wood.
Yeah, those are easy.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so no, that's,
Yeah.
that's
We got
good.
ones out here.
but I think the big one that I don't know if it's worth, you know, discussing now, but this was the highest ranked was shade, and I don't know how we would address that in our downtown area, but
Big where though? I mean, is that,
The trees.
are they talking plaza?
Plaza, yeah.
well, this was the entire just the downtown streetscape.
Gotcha.
People wanted shade. I'm not sure how that would look.
Yeah, that's a big order right there.
We put the shade structure since then, we put the, not since then, but we added, right when we first put the survey, we did that shade structure over the stage there. And that was pretty well received.
Yeah, I think that, because those are, I mean, we're looking at 2 different areas. I know the plaza is part of downtown, but that was a different, completely different survey. This was specific to the downtown streetscape, so the boulevard itself. But I'm not sure either what that would.
I think that's high priority, but I think that's gonna be in the works. In combination with other projects that we're gonna be coming up with. You know what I mean? You can't, you know what I mean? That's gonna be added in.
Incorporated.
Yeah.
You scroll down a little, Mike.
Well, the better lighting and crosswalks, while you're on that real quick, so on Friday Night Live. All my cohorts, as we walked down the middle of the street, they said. For the lighting, maybe if we did catenary lights that went across the street from pole to pole. Like the street, because it's
You
kind
mean
of
like the,
Christmas lights type of thing, but they're called catenary lights, right? And they're like the Home Depot, not Home
Yeah.
Depot, the Costco lights, right? You know,
Yeah.
And they go across the boulevard.
that'd look cool.
It would look cool. I mean, leave them up for the duration of. You wouldn't wanna be putting those up every.
No, you can- no,
Just
they-
leave them
they're-
up for the.
It's
Well, I mean, we gotta keep it at 14.5. Right,
It's an engineered, system, so.
Yeah,
We could do it in the plaza, just to try it.
inside the
Like
car,
our-
yeah, going across the street, we're gonna keep it 14.5.
14.5, that's the middle.
Mark, what are they called?
You know, they're just those.
Every
one
of the world's got them. Cantonary lights, I think it's.
They're like bistro.
The kind you buy
There
at
you go.
Costco.
Images.
I have some of those in my backyard. It's pretty cool.
There you go,
Yeah.
right there.
Look at those.
Maybe we could do it in the plaza.
That's what I'm
just-
thinking.
Just to see if we like it.
Plaza's kinda cool.
Yeah,
And that way there's no cars going under it.
good idea. Want to do that in the plaza? And
Is
it'd
it,
be cool to have it set up for the 4th of July big blowout that's coming.
They could just be.
Because you definitely see it in cityscapes. Yeah.
yeah, like that, there you go.
Yeah.
That's more of a.
Like
Ah,
that,
I
like
see.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And crosswalks, is there any? I think it's more just improved street markings, which we kind of already discussed, but is that in the works? That's just a high percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, those, we're gonna get, like I said, we're gonna hit the downtown and all the way around schools. We're gonna start probably from Citrus Fair and just trying to get all those red curves.
Yeah, that was a really low, this was a ranking one where it was like out of 4 stars, it only ranked 2.36 in the downtown area.
You know, going back to crosswalks and improved street markings, I don't wanna be that guy, but, speed bumps down the main road. A lot of cities have them, and it slows traffic down, and that's one of the biggest complaints that I hear, standing, waiting across the street. People don't slow down, and people are scared to go in the crosswalks. So if we did a couple of speed bumps down the main drag, it'd probably push those guys on the other streets, but it would slow them down, because there's probably more activity on the side streets.
Slowed me down at Citrus Fair, those little ones they put in there.
Well,
Yeah.
especially the.
You know what I mean?
For Ace Hardware, those.
Yeah, I was gonna say the walls.
Sam's got a little crazy down there.
Well, for like a main thoroughfare, they have to be, you gotta have fire trucks spacing on them, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we could do that. Probably between West Second and First, or West Second and all the way down to maybe Lake, because of how narrow it gets right there. No offset. We would have to look.
It's just something to consider.
Yeah. Going that way where it opens up, you
Yeah.
know? Past, what's that, 4th Street intersection, and then all of a sudden it's
Right.
3 lanes, giant wide, and especially right out here. And we're gonna assess that too in that traffic calming, project.
Yeah.
We can add kind of things we got in there.
Next, you have a very high percentage as well, 60% of the survey givers or whatever wanted to restain or paint the arbors. And those are like those little, and one kind of in front of the chamber, one over on the other side on the way to your office, Derek. They're those tiny little arbor type things.
Yeah, we did it about 4 years ago, it's time to do them again. Just hit them up with a little sprayer.
I think if they, yeah, that way they'd match more with the plaza, it would look nice, but I think that's what I assume. I don't think they need painting if they just need restaining, or up to you. Next on the list, I did prioritize medium. Again, we can always change these priorities. These are the fountain repairs, 53% supported upgrades, which is just over half. I know there's also been internal discussions of removing them, or they just take, I don't know, Derek, Hector, you guys can speak to this, but they take a lot of maintenance.
Not those aesthetic fountains, or the
This-
drinking fountains?
The drinking fountains are down here. These are those static little decorative fountains that never work.
Repaired.
They're all repaired. We ordered 2 new pumps and Craig already put them in. They're all working. And they're working good. And what he did, what we do is, about once every 2 weeks, we go through them and clean the filters summertime when they're on. So, yeah, but right now but it doesn't take that long. But they're working great.
Maybe if, cause we're gonna do a budget,
Right.
agenda item in second meeting in June. So maybe we can review this, and then if there's anything that Hector, you wanna do that we need money for, we
Take one right now.
The fountains,
The drinking fountains.
yeah, well, maybe that's the one we take on.
Yeah,
Drinking fountains, those in downtown are 25 years old. And we need the ones with the bottle filler.
Yeah, one of them doesn't work.
Maybe let's, on the 26th of June, we're gonna be saying, we're gonna have a budget workshop, so what we did in the first year of the budget, what we wanna do in the second year. So at that time, we're gonna be maybe requesting some, or at least pitching some ideas about, cool, maybe the fountains would be. Those are pretty expensive.
Yeah, that'd be something to throw in that budget.
There wasn't a ton on this one, as far as support for more ADA parking, but there was a low satisfaction score on the parking itself, and I think that's more because it's not painted great. So I think if that's part of the improvements for,
Yeah, painting might, I mean,
Solve a lot of the issues.
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
yeah.
Maybe fountains is a good big one.
The drinking fountains for definitely, we do definitely need those repaired or repaired.
One thing our city doesn't have, which is good for, visitors, economic development is. Sorry, I'm skipping over, but this one's basically, we're gonna do a few things maybe with recreation, but primarily Friday Night Live, and this is something I can give the numbers over to Nina, but, that's not really something that the city tends to host. But next I brought up EV charging stations is on there. It makes people stop into our neighborhoods, or in our city anyway, if they're on 101, to see that, oh, I can charge there. But other than that, there's only 28.4% of people want them.
They got them down there by McDonald's.
Some of the
We're always gonna look out for
Yeah.
grants for that.
Right.
We have a couple city lots that we have enough power. We've already looked into it a little bit. It would be good to get some downtown.
Yeah.
Either behind the Druids was one of them, because I think there's a lot of power back there.
Yeah.
Or the theater.
And the last one, he called it a cross-cutting recommendation just because it didn't really have a, it didn't go over 25%. People just want some clear signage downtown, especially for parking. I don't see a parking personally as an issue in our city, but I think, like you said, painting the lines will support the majority of these, improve street markings and some lighting. But I'll go ahead and send this list over to you, Hector, and then like Kevin said, we can present it to council later. Unless, again, the subcommittee has any other direction or change in priority projects on this list.
No, I think those are good, and like Hector was saying, I think painting's gonna take care of a lot of. Is gonna knock off a lot of these projects right here.
Yeah, sealing the trellises
Yeah.
downtown. The only thing we need to purchase will be, get some funding, will be just the drinking fountains, but the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
TLC maintenance.
If you're gonna make any new ADA parking, you gotta make sure the slopes comply with that code.
I think the plan is that to mark, is to paint what we have, because you can't really read them.
Fair enough, yeah.
They're just faded.
And one thing that wasn't listed on this priority project, but might be a budget thing, are those trash cans we've talked about repetitively at this subcommittee, but I didn't reflect it here just because it's not something that's currently budgeted and is way outside of our budget means.
Gotcha. Cool,
Thanks, Mike.
alrighty. Water sustainability projects, Vanessa.
All right, let's see, so a few different projects, so we've got the recycled water feasibility study. So work started on that in February, shortly after receiving the notice to proceed. City staff has already provided data needed to commence preparation of the report. The first 3 chapters are background information about the city's water supplies and wastewater characteristics. That is in progress. The consultants has started work on a market assessment, which is looking at potential recycled water users inside and outside of the city limits. And this summer, they're gonna be looking at the wastewater treatment facilities to identify what upgrades would be needed to produce the recycled water, tertiary treated water.
Just the study alone is like $1 million, right?
It is, but that is almost entirely grant funded.
No, I know, I'm saying, yeah, these are. People
Long-term.
throw out that
Right,
tertiary, that's a
Oh,
huge
it's
deal.
huge.
I know.
It'll be millions of dollars to do any kind
Dig
of.
up the
Yeah.
street.
there. But
Possibly then.
well, that's what I've been mentioning to
More.
people when, like, they throw it out like it's something we could have done by next week, and I'm like, you understand what's involved in that, you know what I mean?
More than a.
And they don't, you know, so you explain it to them, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, now you know.
so just kind of trying to stay, grant competitive in the
Mhm.
future, these are kind of the initial steps. And you're not competitive. The most competitive projects are shelf, shelf ready, shovel ready.
So, right.
And so feasibility studies, planning and design all kind of need to happen before you
Oh,
can get
yeah.
to shovel ready.
But it was grant.
Yeah, it
Yes,
is,
that was
right.
grant funded, so.
And so the federal grant required a 50% match, and we got that match from the state, which also required a 50% match, and so.
That was gonna be my next question.
But it is, I mean, as Derek was saying earlier before the meeting, grant money, it takes money to get that
Yeah,
grant money
yeah.
anyways, and so a lot of hoops and jingles with the two different funding sources there, but it's moving along. We have the water master plan, which is in, the current fiscal year budget. The proposal was approved at the last city council meeting. And so I think the consultant's just waiting on contracting from the city, and then that'll get going.
Well, does the scope of that include like at least some analysis of potential water valley and additional storage to mitigate that?
As much as possible, and so I know Patrick, is the project manager on that, and he sat through the city council meeting
Okay.
before the Potter Valley presentation. And just kind of getting, keeping an ear to the ground on what's going on there. But I do suspect that source water is gonna be an element of that master plan.
Right, different sources other than the Russian River.
Right.
The deeper water.
Deeper wells.
The,
The focus of a master plan is typically largely the distribution system, but, supply does need to feed into that system. So it won't be a focus, but it'll definitely.
It'll be
get
there.
looked at.
yeah, that's cool.
There's also a risk, I don't remember what things called, but, kind of a maintenance effort, for our current distribution system. I want to call it a risk assessment. That's also baked into that master plan study. Okay, and then we have the South Crest Reservoir replacement. So that is currently in kind of the preliminary design. They're working on the basis of design report. Geotech studies are done. That's just moving along. And so, I just have kind of some general updates. Right now, we're looking at replacing the existing 200,000 gallon tank with two 250,000 gallon tanks, giving an additional 300,000 gallons of storage capacity. The existing tank was constructed in 1966, does not meet current seismic codes, and the interior coating is shot. And so just the recoating itself is a pretty big cost. And so replacing is the way to go. They're gonna be on concrete foundations. One tank will include a staircase to access the roof with the bridge, go into the other tank. The tanks are going to include cathodic protection, which should protect the interior from corrosion. There's gonna be a 15-foot high retaining wall located between the new tanks and Cherry Creek Road. And a perimeter no-climb fence with 2 gates. Estimated cost is $2.9 million. Our office is working on, potential hazard mitigation funding. Anyways, we're definitely looking at funding that thing, because in theory, that will be shovel ready once we're through the design here.
Does that include the cost of the removal and,
It's a
Total project cost.
best
Shouldn't
guess at
total,
this
yeah,
point,
yeah, okay.
but yes.
the
total
demolition
project.
and, it's not, the tank doesn't become hazardous material when it's offloaded offsite?
I wouldn't see so it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Not lead-based paint either, so we're good there.
Is there any issue with the duration of time between when those tanks are operational and supplying the city?
No, that was looked at in a feasibility study a couple of years ago, and so it's good, yeah.
The inverted tank design styles look smooth on the inside for sanitization purposes.
So anticipated schedule is design completed this October with bidding and contracting, going through April of 2026 and potential spring of 26 construction, with completion in late spring of 27.
Maybe your hands are low.
Yeah. Sure.
Good order.
And so that's it on South Crest, and then, the other one we have is the well project. And so that's being bid in 2 phases to keep momentum. Phase 1 is basically digging the holes, if you will. That's moving along, and you guys saw the contract approval at one of the city council meetings.
$612,736 to well industry.
And so right now, if it all is today the 27th, if we're
Yep.
moving along, phase 2 is supposed to be published in the paper today and again next week. And also gonna be advertised on the city's website. And I think we are looking at bid opening of July 10th. So bid period would be June 10th to July 10th. Okay,
Perfect, right on.
stay tuned.
And we're having bid openings on July 10th here at 2 p.m. at City Hall. That total project cost is 1.84 million for both stages. And we did look at the depths of the wells, we agreed on the 80-foot depth, the 110-foot pilot holes, and then 16-inch casings, like discussed previously.
And so the hope there is with that July 10th, I don't have the right calendar in front of me, but we're hoping that right on the heels of that, contract can be awarded at the July city council meeting. Assuming you guys are having one meeting in July.
Towards the end, we are.
It is,
One
okay,
year.
perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be at the end of July.
Okay,
That
Right.
gives us to the 14th to review and
Okay.
make sure it
Yeah.
meets standard, and you guys should see we'll be awarding bid packet and draft agreement by July 23rd. City council meeting.
Nice.
So it's gonna be very condensed.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Melissa.
Nope. No community development, how about Parks and Rec?
Yeah, we got a few projects going on right now. I'll just start off with the River Park Playground replacement. The reason why I was a little late, I was on a pre-construction meeting with Miracle Playground. We do have a tentative date to start the project for June 16th, coming up here.
Are they gonna put a fence around
Yeah,
it still?
So they're gonna put a cyclone fence all the way around. They're gonna have, no generators. They are gonna store some equipment there. So I met with them, everything went good.
And they're gonna store the stuff at the courtyard still, or?
Well, now, I told them since there's no reason to store it, if they're gonna start on the 5th, we'll just make sure that they deliver. Cause they're gonna need about 2 to 3 days to demo, so I figured to skip one step, just have them deliver it
Okay.
within the 3-day period, that way we don't avoid any delays and start going, cause I told them we need to spend this money. We need to before, when the end of the fiscal year. So it sounds like they can work with that, so that's going good. The community there has already been calling us. That's gonna be great, big upgrade for River Park. And then going down the line here, it's River Park. So we had finally got the money, from FEMA to redo the River Park, to rehabilitate the River Park Trail. The grant, the job was awarded to Durant Grading and Paving. And he repaved that section that was a problem, and the plan is to slurry almost the whole entire trail, our side. From the footbridge all the way out to like where the beginning of the water plant starts tomorrow.
Nice.
So we put some no parking barricades earlier this morning. And that, once this project is complete, pretty much our section of the River Park Trail will be repaired and slurried and everything. It'll be really nice. The county side doesn't look so nice. So that's going on tomorrow. I got plans to meet with them first thing in the morning.
Who can we put pressure on for the county side? Johannes?
Or her name is Melanie Parker. I can send an email maybe and then,
Yeah.
maybe I can,
Let's start, it just seems pointless to have one side looking great.
as far as.
You know what I mean? That's
And then
part of the,
Our vegetation effort too on our side.
Exactly.
Looks really good. If you look at
they're
this
leaving
side.
us hanging, in my opinion, on that from the Green Bridge north.
Yeah, so
So,
that's happening tomorrow. It's gonna look really nice, cause we got rid of 3 or 4 tripping hazards.
Mhm.
That we got rid of, and then, of course, that swale that was impacted by the storm a couple of years back. And then one project we just completed is the basketball courts. I like calling them basketball security lights at the 2nd Street City Park. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. Not only is it gonna light up the basketball courts, but it lights up the exterior of the basketball courts, the parking lot, which was pitch black. And now it's dark.
They haven't complained yet?
No,
I got a picture from Rick.
Yeah.
He's like, good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it is bright.
So
man.
far, it's bright, but you know, they're only on for an hour,
Yeah.
you know, so it's like.
Down a timer or?
Yeah, the time, yeah, originally we were gonna do a photo cell, but we're like, you know, we should put a timer on it.
Well, cause there's that one lady over there, even when it's beer league or
Yeah.
anything, she's calling right away
Yeah.
when those lights go on. It's
One
like,
nice thing about, the nice thing about these lights, they're pretty high tech. Like if you look at them from the front, it doesn't glare. So
They're
it only-
nice.
It has like a border perimeter thing that,
Oh, yeah.
so it's not like the ones that we have on the baseball field, those guys are, but
Right.
these guys are really nice so far, they're only on for an hour. So it gets dark around 8:30ish. Have them on till like 9:30, I think.
In
And
the
we-
winter time, they'll be.
we'll have them a little
longer.
longer,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but so far it's been great. Like I said, now it lights up the restrooms, it lights up our equipment shed where we have all our tools. So now,
Yeah, they
yeah,
are.
there we go, so when we
That's
have.
from the park, that's from the street. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're working really well.
They're
They
working
look
well.
good, man.
Yeah,
They
so-
do look really good.
So there, so that project is complete, like I said, we have the ability to turn them on, to put the timer on, so that's actually really good, I'm glad that it gets to be. Have more light around the facility, because we have a lot of equipment in there, we have some tractors and mowers. Now we can, at least, if somebody if there's ever an incident. We have more visibility after for police officers to do their patrolling. So that's completed. And then I also had, just going down the line here, I know we got a lot. Soda Springs Ranch, open space, we had the community outreach meeting this weekend on Saturday where we talked about a little bit about the sheep and all the vegetation management that they're doing. Kevin and I, mostly Kevin, I'm not gonna take all the credit, we applied for a grant, for a sheep grant. And we got it, roughly about $37,000. They're up there now, and so the work that the sheep are doing is amazing. I mean, he threw them in on Friday, by Saturday. It took a whole different park, we had 200 head of sheep,
They eat the mixed dead grass.
they eat the dead grass,
Yeah, everything, dude.
they eat the poison oak, blackberries,
Everything.
broom.
Yeah.
The sheep or goats?
There's a mixture, so I requested specifically because the sheep are kind of lazy.
Yeah.
That's why I requested.
Yeah, they are.
I guess I'll shoot some goats in there to push them along.
Yeah.
So no, we had roughly about 50 people that attended the meeting. And then about probably
That was
about,
part of the grant, right? for the
yeah, part of the
public.
grant, we had to do it as part of the grant, but then, and there's about 20 kids that showed up. A lot of the questions towards the end were more the folks that live on Port Circle asking about that section. That grass, that hillside, which that's the reason why we got this grant, because it's so steep, we can't get any equipment in it. And so they were real happy to see that the city is doing a lot more now that we've taken over the property
Yeah.
than the previous owner. They were pretty happy about that. So no, that's all good. They're stop by and check them out. They'll be there for 2 weeks. We got about 22 acres that they're gonna be. So
I was in there this morning, man, they were having at it.
they were going, yeah. And so there's someone that stays with
How's
us,
he getting the water out there for him?
a water buggy.
Yeah.
He drives up a water buggy, yeah, but the roads are wide, yeah, need good access. So they, and then as far as the trail, city council approved the funding, well, the funding was already there, it was just an amendment. For the trail development for the park.
Yep.
Right now, we're just waiting for CEQA. They pretty much got everything they need now, as far as what we could provide, as far as information. Right now, we're just waiting for them to finish their job, their work. They sounded like 3 or 4 weeks. They'll be done, and then as soon as they're done, I mean, Ken Wells with the Redwood Trail Alliance, he's sitting there waiting, he wants to start building
He's ready,
trails,
yeah.
yeah. So, we're thinking that, had this conversation with Mike earlier, sometime in the middle of the end of September, we'll have this park open if everything goes according to plan. There it is. Oh, man, I need to get a bigger shirt, man. Yeah.
There's no shirt big enough for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was good, yeah, that's Leland, the grazer there. That's pretty cool, Mike. How'd you get those sheep to move, man, behind you?
AI, it's AI.
Yeah. Yeah, and, yeah, so, you know, that's pretty much it as far as, projects, I know. For parks updates, I know we have, I don't know if you want to just keep going down the line there for
Well, I
Scout.
had something real quick, and Kevin and I and the mayor were talking about it too. And it has to do with the, our, what do they call that thing? Pergola. gazebo, whatever you wanna call it, in front of the scout cabin. That thing needs to be torn down.
I got it right here.
I'm just wondering, no, we were talking, instead of putting it back in that space right there,
Yo,
just wiping that thing out right there and then moving it down to between the bag toss and the snack shack, you know, that square spot right there by the big ash tree?
yeah,
Putting one there, three things. One, the police kind of requested that something would be there because it's easier for them to monitor. The bathrooms are right there, so if people do come in and they rent them for whatever, picnics, quinceañeras, whatever, it's easier for them to get to and the bathrooms will be there. Also, it's easier for whatever parks or whoever's monitoring that for, if they do, we get this whole rental recreation thing set up. It's easier for you or whoever to monitor and say, hey, you
yeah,
guys have this reserved, where's your permit that you paid the X amount of money for? And we can start doing that. And I think, I mean, these parks are just looking freaking killer right now,
Yeah.
so that would be an enhancement too, also, if you, for people coming up to Soda Springs, they see that and not have to walk all the way back. That's one thing, and then the other thing I threw in with the parks, I just thought of this now, I haven't even mentioned it to Kevin, is like the Ferber Park sign down there by the trash bins.
yeah,
The wood one, the parks are looking so good, it'd be nice to rehab that, you know what I mean,
That
that,
one at Ferber or?
the one at Ferber and the one at City Park.
oh, the one at Ferber definitely needs.
The one at City Park, I mean, we went ahead and leveled that one right there, I
Yeah.
mean, that's nostalgic to Cloverdale.
Yeah,
But it could look super cool if you put a
Okay.
really nice one in there.
yeah, we can do.
I'm just throwing those out there,
Yeah.
that's not something that's even on the list, but it would look really good, cause.
So the gazebo, would you want to remove it or repair that one,
No,
still build it?
we
up?
were gonna say, Todd and I were talking, just take that one completely out right
Okay.
there. Leave the pad
Uh-huh.
and leave some tables there. People can still do picnics back there, but then move the other
Okay.
one up to, right?
Down
Mike's got
further.
it down further. Mike, down towards the ball field,
At the end.
At the end of the parking lot.
right?
There,
Yeah, right? And use that space right there. So you've got, it would be a great shade structure, the bathrooms are right near it and everything.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Then when people are coming up to Soda Springs, they can have a picnic, they can go hike that, they can do whatever, and it's easier to
Yeah.
just monitor for the entire city.
Put that in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked up a bunch of them, and you guys may have already, I looked up some, they have steel roofed ones that are just 4 posts. And they didn't have their prices on there, and then they also have an octagon gazebo, but it was way too fancy for this, I think just the shade structure up there. I mean, you'd be renting that thing out every single weekend, you know what I mean? So,
One thing we'll need to, I used to work in the Parks Department, we definitely need a kiosk for every park once we start the rentals.
right,
The park staff will put up there like a calendar basically, and it says like these spots are reserved. Cause a lot of people will go out there I got here at 5 AM to set up my stuff, and it's like, sorry, it's reserved. And the people with the reservation obviously get the reservation. And then Hector and I have talked about it a little bit. Part of a park improvement, since we're talking about it, all the areas that we want to eventually rent through our program, which can handle the rentals really well. We need to find a way to mark either the tables or the picnic, like the area to be like, this is site A or B or 1 or 2, whatever naming convention we choose. So that'll be part of our request for funding, because those things cost money too. But it's a revenue generator, because being able to reserve in all those sites is money waiting to be had for our Parks and Rec department.
exactly.
Yeah, and then, so right now we have I'll see what I can, I'll talk to Cavallo Construction, because we have a contract with them to repair. He was gonna start next week, so I can talk to him after the meeting, see if maybe we can use some of those funds for the demo of the existing.
That thing's, I mean,
If this guy can repair it, should we just do that or?
well, you could leave it, I mean, you could leave it up to have 2 of them.
I think,
But I'm thinking a new one right there for people for Soda Springs,
that.
kind of a combination of everything.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Or pad underneath it too,
Yeah,
or
you're
just-
thinking
So
of
if we
Florida
repair-
pack, like if you get one of those, for instance, say you went with one of those steel ones, it's got the steel I-beams going up. That would be a pad right there and they would mount directly to that. And that thing is just solid as all get out. You know, you can pick colors, you could get blue for Cloverdale, yellow
Oh, I
posts,
like-
however you want to do it, you know what I mean? So,
I think it's a
When's
good idea.
Cavallo supposed to start?
Tuesday.
Should we just do it?
I mean, what we can do is, that's up to you guys, we can repair what we got, and put a second one there.
so
It's up to you, whatever.
if you can repair it and make it workable, leave the damn thing there, you know what I mean? Have 2 of them, but
Once the repairs, I thought it was about to come down.
It's looking, I mean, it's looking rough, put it that way.
He's gonna replace a lot of the wood, a lot of the trusses, he's gonna lift, one of the sides kind of, he's gonna jack it up and repair it, it's about seven grand. And then he's gonna stain it, put a new roof on it, he's very affordable. That'll be a whole,
Just do
you're
that, yeah.
literally getting a whole new gazebo.
Yeah.
That's what the whole remote.
That's probably cheaper than.
It is.
We can still look into another one. though.
But I think it's a good idea.
Be a good spot to put it there.
Well, one of the things that I like the most, we will get rid of all the irrigation
Exactly. And all
and
the
we will
mowing,
save water.
and all the mowing and all
Yeah.
that, that's a
So
big,
it would
yeah,
save, it would save maintenance and
it would.
we'll have to reroute some irrigation lines around the pad.
Yeah.
But I think it's great, especially under that big ash tree.
Yeah, it'd be a perfect spot.
Okay, I'll put a budget amendment
Awesome.
for that.
Well, when we do the budget workshop.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll throw a bunch of stuff in there. We'll get new. We'll throw a bunch in there and see what happens. You
It
know,
might not go through, but that's
throw it against the wall and see what sticks.
We had development impact fees.
Yeah.
Full by developers.
I'll keep kind of all of one.
Scouts cabin.
So we met, Kevin and I there, met with Randy Figurita
Yeah.
last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think the plan, we really good productive meeting. We went over the whole plan for the facility, and I think the next step is he's coming up with the actual number figure for an amount to start doing some of this remodeling.
Hold your head, it's gonna be expensive.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
We have the 270 ADA or the CDBG grant for the ADA stuff, so there's that. Which Vanessa, thank you for helping us on that. And then the council's dedicated we have about 600 in our Quimby Act fees, which is in development impact fees. So there may be potential for some other county money, so. We're gonna wait. The next step's gonna be hiring Randy. He's an architect, he does a lot of work with public, with cities. That's gonna be expensive, but he's already done an initial assessment. He brought an HVAC guy, an electrician. We have that report if anyone's interested. A lot of it's pretty obvious just because it's so old, but they did make recommendations, maybe split systems and electrical, and so, we did that. So that the next step is to get him on board, start drawing plans, and then work with the county on the CDBG and how we're gonna keep the money separate, or how we have to do all that. And so, let's move forward. I'm anxious to get going on that because we've been talking about it forever, and Randy's a pretty good architect. Hopefully he's a little more.
Well, between that and Cavallo doing
Gonna look nice.
the park, it's just getting polished is what it's doing. It's what it needs before Soda Springs opens up.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean? Or shortly thereafter, however it pans out.
yeah, I mean, the plan for this scouts cabin is pretty ambitious. There's one bathroom now that's toast.
Right.
So at 2 bathrooms is what he's suggesting, so you get more people in there for events, because you only do 49 people with one
Yeah.
bathroom. Whole kitchen, redo the kitchen, of course, there's no HVAC right now at all. So that, and then that side that's facing south is gonna be, the windows they're high, they're gonna come down, there's gonna be a door, that's gonna be like the show.
Are they gonna take those trees out? In there, those ones that are fenced
I
in
think-
next to it?
I think one of them.
Really? Will look good, man.
One of the,
Is that building separately metered or is part of the infrastructure?
It's separately metered. It's got his own PG&E and his own gas.
Anyway, we just like solar panel that building by itself.
I think those are pretty cheap. Would be.
True.
That just getting.
It's not very sunny over there.
And it's
Like next to none.
Is there any appetite for making that a potential emergency facility, like a warming center or a cooling center? It's now been grant.
There's none. Yeah.
Potentially,
cooling center, there's money on.
possibly, well, it depends on which administration.
I mean, I can see that building, I mean, I'm just meeting vision, I can see us like having this meeting there.
Oh, yeah.
It's big, it's
Yeah.
that whole, I mean, that whole room is as big as half a city hall. Doesn't look big from the outside, it's pretty big.
Good size.
We have meetings, once we redo the lights and do all the work that needs to be done, in the kitchen and stuff, and then, like we mentioned in the past, we can start making some revenue, we can rent it out, start making some money for all the parties on the weekend.
And
It'll-
make the yard this side there.
Exactly. Put another, like some picnic tables there,
Barbecues.
or barbecues, oh yeah.
Sweet.
I also have a list of about 10 activities that we could easily have for recreation in that facility during the day or weekends that won't be in the way of rentals, but more revenue generation.
Bench management.
Oh, Bench management, yeah, so we finished the first round of mowing pretty much everywhere. We're going heavy into the second round. I know we got the sheep out at Soda Springs Ranch. We also did a combination, we got the mower out there going for a couple of days, a combination of that. We're gonna head out and do the Porterville Creek. We have, for this week, we have, some of the LNL districts, we have the cottages, Brookside. We're gonna do a second round of vegetation management on our side. The River Park Trail we completed, but like I said, this is the time to do the second round. The next couple of weeks, we're gonna be hitting it pretty hard and getting those done. I met with North Sonoma County Fire Fuels Group at Porterville Creek, so they can give me a quote to keep more, keep going with some more vegetation management like we did last year for burn piles. And at Porterville Creek is a little bit more challenging because there's all there is trails, there's no
Yeah.
roads, so you can't drive any equipment. Here, we'll be able to drive a chipper out there and we'll be able to do a lot of it, on the roads ourselves. And we still get a contract that we'd be able to help out more. And then, so yeah, that's pretty much ongoing everywhere. We gotta do one more round here on the boulevard, more fish management here, up and down and all our parks. That's an ongoing thing now that we do, just nothing but mechanical ways of weed abatement. And
E1 supplementals, we already went over Ghost Sonoma project and survey priorities. And anybody else got anything they want to throw in there?
Mixes is working through their annual, lining through town for the sewer system. And then we are looking at doing a biosolids removal at the wastewater treatment plant. A little earlier than expected, but, that'll be paid for by enterprise funds.
Cool. Got anything else? All right, let's move into E, adjournment at 3:06, Mike. Adjourned.
nice.